Hello, Carr here today with another YouTube video. Today's topic is contentment. And the question we have today posed to us is, was Paul's glass always half full, or was sometimes it half empty? All right, so in the church, a lot of times people use that slogan, is your glass half full or half empty? And I understand what the purpose of that is. It's to produce gratefulness. But a lot of times, especially it did it with me as well. It made me feel bad that sometimes my glass was half empty. Sometimes I was in need and in want, and so we're going to look today at the scriptures, and we're going to see, did Paul always have what he needed? Did he always have what he wanted? Does God supplies our needs? He supplies every need according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus. But does that mean that we never go without anything? What is the truth about that? Okay, so we're going to look at that today. If you will, turn with me to Philippians chapter 4, starting at verse number 11. We're going to go through that. It says, I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content with whatever the circumstances. So we learn to be content. I know what it is to be in need. So God supplies all our needs according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus, but sometimes He doesn't. Okay, so sometimes Paul was in need. And if Paul, who has faith more than all of us, is in need sometimes, then we're going to be in need sometimes too. And I know what it is to have plenty. Sometimes Paul has plenty. So guess what? If you stay being a Christian and you're in need right now, one day you will have plenty. Because if God did it for Paul, He'll do it for you. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry. Now, when Paul says hungry, that's most likely pertaining to him being in prison. They may not have fed him for 3 or 4 days at a time. Paul said, I've known hunger and I've known thirst in another passage. Paul probably went a couple of days without water at times. When he was in open sea after a shipwreck, on a plank of wood or whatever, he probably was dehydrated to the point of seeing visions, and not visions from the Lord, but delusions and things like that. So Paul knew these things, and God puts us through these things sometimes. So don't feel bad if you're in need or in want. That's my point today. Whether it living in plenty or in want. So sometimes our wants are not met. Sometimes we are lacking, okay? And that's okay. And that's the important point today that I want to point out to you is, don't feel bad as a Christian if you feel like your glass is half empty. Because sometimes it is. And that's normal. And if Paul went through it, so will we. We don't go through a lot of times what Paul went through, because Paul went through more than most of us, ever will. Even though we did go through some tough times. I've been through some tough stuff. Some really tough stuff. But in large part, we're not going through what Paul went through. Okay? And so he says that the secret to this is, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So the point is, another point is when you're in need or in want, in which you will be sometimes as a Christian, even though God will supply all your needs, it may not be immediately, it may be in the future. If you're in need and want, just draw from the strength of Christ. It takes faith. The little bit of strength you feel in your body, in your soul, and in your spirit, live off of that. Just move forward. You won't have everything you want and need all the time. That's my lesson today. Thank you, and God bless you.